Am I the asshole for leaving a dinner party after a girl sat on my husband's lap?
How's that girl walking?
I am still so shook with everything. So sorry for my rambling. My husband Jake and I have been married for 3 years, and from the beginning, he was very close with his best friend's sister, Sydney, 18, female. Well, my husband would often talk about her and tell how he had seen her grow up throughout the years. Cindy is always very bubbly and seems very fond of Jake as well. I remember when we were dating, she would ask to come along on her dates a lot. I never really said anything as I like spending time with her as well. She was like a little sister to me. When we announced our engagement, she asked to my husband to better not forget her, and after being a married man and to still hang out with her. Well, we got married and I even made her my bridesmaid. Soon we moved to a different state and kind of lost contact. Now Jake's best friend came to stay with us for some time and Sydney came along as well. Now the moment she saw us, the first thing she said was how hot my husband had gotten, and she was glad he didn't look like those boring married men. Then, throughout their stay, Sydney would just ignore my presence and would still be way too close with Jake. I told Jake that it was a bit inappropriate and asked Sydney to tone it down. But he said that Sydney is just a bit childish and is that way with everyone. Well, on their last day, we decided to host a dinner party for everybody. During the party, I was with Jake when Sydney came and told me, "Oh, I need to steal your husband for a while." And before I could say something, she grabbed Jake's hand and took him for playing games. I ignored it since it was their last day. But then throughout the dinner, she was getting way too close with Jake and would just drag him away whenever I would be around while giggling at me. When everybody sat for dinner, I sat beside Jake and Sydney came last. She then said, "Oh, there is no seat," and then just went and sat on my husband's lap.
What the fuck?
In front of everybody?
I'm raging right now.
Everybody
I
was...
wish I was this girl for a minute.
Everybody was surprised, and Jake said laughingly, "Sydney, stop acting like a kid. You are not a kid anymore." Sydney started laughing, saying it was just a joke, and got up and sat in another seat while giggling at me. Yeah, I was so angry with the disrespect and the fact that Jake was so cool with it, but I didn't want to say anything bad, so I excused myself and took my car and went out. About 1 hour later, Jake called me asking where I was. I told him I was going to a friend's house and I will come home after Sydney has left. I know what I did was terrible, but I was so angry at that time that if I had stayed any longer, I would have probably started fighting or crying. I came the next day and Sydney and her family had left. Jake was very pissed and said I took things too far. I started crying and I told him how everything made me feel. He said I was horrible to think such things about Sydney and that she was like his sister. I told him that I was not doubting his intentions, but I was hurt by how disrespectful Sydney's behavior was, and he was enabling her by not saying anything. He started saying that I sound ridiculous and couldn't even take a joke, referring to Sydney sitting on his lap. I said, regardless, I don't want her in my house again. To top it off, Sydney sent a message saying that she was sorry about making me insecure of myself and that she would make sure to make me feel better, but I should not have left as it was pretty childish and kind of spoiled the mood. It was so backhanded, I didn't even reply to her. I just told my husband that he needs to maintain distance with Sydney. He asked if I was giving him an ultimatum. I said if he will go as far as disregard and disrespect my feelings for Sydney. This really rubbed my husband the wrong way, and he said since I have such disgusting thoughts in my mind and is giving him an ultimatum anyways, that he might as well leave because he cannot live with such an insecure person who has such disgusting thoughts for him. He packed a bag and left for his mother's house. I have tried apologizing numerous times, telling how sorry I am for everything, but he is now ignoring my texts and calls. Later, Sydney's brother texted me and called me a bunch of names to think like that about his sister, saying Jake should just leave me and a disgusting person like me deserves to be alone. I could not stop crying after that. I don't know how to fix this. Is there even a way to come back? Was I so wrong to deserve this? I don't know anymore. Am I the asshole?
Oh,
Boy, bye.
this one is making me I think the maddest I've ever been, honestly. Holy fuck, the disrespect. I don't even have words, honestly. Like, she's apologizing to him for what? For what? You need to dump his ass. I know they're married.
Yeah.
She needs to divorce his ass.
Yeah.
Right?
Recently married.
Yeah.
They didn't say their ages. They just said her age is 18.
Edit. People were asking for our ages.
Yeah.
We are 25 years old, just months apart.
Okay, that's fucked.
Okay, like for Kane
So loud.
drinking his water, but like for the brother to get involved and start calling names,
Literally.
like know your place.
Yeah.
It's not your place.
Yeah.
And like to message a one like that not only comes off as threatening, like even if his intent wasn't to be like that, but like and then throwing in names, like it's just like that's really fucked up.
Yeah.
Secondly, for her to give some backhanded, like, I'm sorry I made you feel this way.
Yeah.
Like, I would have just at the point, like, this is why she should
The fact
have
that
thrown
she's here in
hands.
the first place is
She
Yeah.
should have just thrown hands.
No.
Fuck it in the car. She should have thrown
She's
hands.
18. She thinks she's hot. She thinks she knows everything. She's had, obviously, a crush on Jake her whole
Yeah.
childhood teen life, right?
jumping to conclusions about like you don't have enough self-confidence. It has nothing to do about that. Like
Yeah.
enough amount of
Like,
you crossed a line. Like
Yeah.
And, like,
yeah.
Seems like reality is, Sydney, that's something that you want and that you've wanted since you were like 13, but it's been unattainable
Yeah.
for you.
But it's like giving,
She's
like, me...
18 and they're 25. So that's
Yeah.
quite. That's
7 years.
quite.
But
a
it's giving,
big-
like, one of those, like, she needs attention. Like, she needs
Yeah.
Needs attention.
Yeah.
She's a pick-me.
Yeah, she's a pick-me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
all
sounds-
about
And
me.
she's,
pick
she's had a crush
me.
on him and like, yeah. Okay.
Sounds like he watched her grow up. So I'm imagining like he's known her since she was like she became a teenager. She was always
Right.
the older brother's
Her first
hot
crush.
friend,
Yeah.
first
It's
crush.
like, yeah.
It's like
It's
first-
that little
yeah.
obsession.
Yeah.
And it's like
Well, there's obsession and there's, like, ruining marriages.
Yeah, like you're a homewrecker.
you're an idiot. Not even a homewrecker. Like you're just an idiot. Who sits?
Well, so is he.
No, homewrecker is someone who tries to get with
But
him.
he let it happen.
I know, but a homewrecker is someone who tries to get with him behind everyone's back and just.
No, she's just
The
pathetic.
goal is to get with him.
Well, she's
she's
just
just an idiot who goes and
No, she's just
flirting like that.
pathetic.
She thinks that she
Yeah.
can flirt and do whatever she wants, and there's no consequences because it's just a joke.
Because I'm 18.
Yeah,
like,
18.
one day that body
It's
ain't going to
just
be
a joke.
18. Like,
He's practically like my brother.
oh, even
Yeah, but
worse.
they should both be to blame here.
Oh,
they're
Jake is
both
100% to
equally
blame.
trash.
Yeah.
If someone's gonna come and sit on your lap,
Yeah.
like your first thing you're gonna be is like,
Get
What
the
the
fuck?
fuck?
What
Yeah.
are you
what
doing,
the-
bro?
Yeah, like it's an automatic instinct to like no matter how close you are,
Yeah.
you could be my best friend, but like if I'm trying to sit and have dinner, I'm gonna be like, can you move your
Yeah.
ass? Like I'm
Yeah.
trying to sit at the dinner table
Or
here.
my
Well-
wife, like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah, so it's weird.
like even like, he kind of had me with the comments where he's like, "Oh, you need to stop being a child," or da 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 da, and I was like, "Okay,"
Bars
But-
on the floor.
right.
but then I was just like, but then as like it went on, and it was just like he was saying like he flipped it around.
Yeah.
I was like, you're not making yourself the victim here.
Yeah.
Instead of
Yeah.
hearing out
You
your
should
your
not-
wife's feelings.
There's no way in any world you should be getting mad at your wife.
No.
No fucking
No.
way. You should be
No.
doing everything you can to apologize.
Yeah.
That you even made Sydney feel comfortable enough that she could
Yes.
sit on your lap.
That's where I was gonna go with it.
Yes.
The fact that you made, yeah, exactly.
And for me, it was like how Sydney, like the entire time in the story, it was just like, oh, she was giving like these giggles and doing things. And you know how like sometimes guys don't understand, but for girls,
Yes, you
it's like,
know.
she's doing it to be
Yes.
like,
Look at what
like
I'm
that.
getting away with.
yeah, or
Yeah.
like, and the guys are just like so oblivious to it, but
Yeah.
it's like, you
Yeah.
know, that's like, she's coming for me type
Yeah.
of feeling.
Yep.
And the
It's
fact
not
that like she
okay.
got in her car and she left
Yeah.
and she separated herself should have been the first like, ding 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 to her
Yeah.
husband to be like,
Yeah.
okay, red flag, my wife doesn't do this shit. She's so uncomfortable, she had to leave.
Yeah.
Like, why would my
Yeah.
wife want to leave? Saying that she's not welcome in her house. She's never been threatened by this woman before. Like,
Exactly.
and then, like,
She's better than me, man.
yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's more to the story. Like, I feel like something's...
An update.
Ooh.
Ooh, let's hear it.
All right. Updates. Thank you all for responding and the people who gave me good advices and personal messages. I couldn't read all the comments, but now I know my feelings are valid and boundaries were crossed by Sydney. Now, during dinner, there was Sydney, her brother Sean, and his girlfriend, and their cousin Derek, who is also a very good friend of my husband, with his boyfriend. So I called Derek and asked about the situation and what happened after I left. He was sympathetic and said that after I left, at first they thought I would come back after some time. However, things were really awkward. But when I didn't come, Sean's girlfriend told Sydney that she was so disrespectful for doing that. Derek and his boyfriend also said the same thing. To this, Sydney started crying, saying they didn't have to corner her and attack her over a silly joke, that she didn't know it would get so out of hand. She then left the room while crying. Jake didn't know what to say, and everyone left early that day. Derek also told that Sydney had always had issues with boundaries, and when he introduced his boyfriend to everyone, Sydney would get too close and would joke with that she was just checking to see if he was really gay. They were really uncomfortable with all of it, so Derek confronted her, to which Sydney rolls her eyes and said they can't take a joke, and eventually she stopped. This sounds so bizarre. I don't know what's going on with Sydney. Sean's girlfriend also texted me saying she was sorry for what happened. I told her how Sean's messages were inappropriate, and she said she had no idea about that text, so I sent her the screenshot and asked her to tell Sean not to harass me again. She was very apologetic and said she would talk to him. Now, my mother-in-law called and asked what was going on, as Jake didn't tell her and only said we had an argument, and I was a bit hesitant to tell her, but eventually told everything. Well, she was furious with my husband. She said they will be coming to have a talk. So yeah, I'm just waiting for them to arrive, and I'm really nervous. I don't know if what I did was wrong or right, but we will see. As for the people saying my husband is some pedo or they're having an affair, I know this is furthest from the truth. I've never questioned his intentions, but what hurt me was the lack of respect from Sydney towards me.
And support
And
from her
your
husband. Yeah, the support.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, this would be divorce worthy for
Yo,
me.
mama's coming.
Yeah.
You in trouble.
Mama gonna set you right.
Like, damn, if that was Deb's coming, like, I'd be like, whoop, I'll get my ass kicked today.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's intense. But
But
yeah,
the
it's
fact
like,
that, like,
Kate.
she's always had boundary problems.
Yeah.
Like,
This
that's
isn't the
huge.
first issue.
That's
Yeah.
huge. Like, that's got to be, like, a big thing for
This
her.
is like
for
very
the,
immature.
yeah, for
Yeah,
the
she's a
poster.
child. No, this infuriated me. There's no other update?
No, there is another update.
Oh.
But I was gonna say, like, we have Sean's girlfriend, we have Derek, and we have his boyfriend. So that's 3 people.
A
And
lot
then
of
you
people
have
involved.
Then you have Sean, Jake, and Sydney. And you have the wife on this side. So you have 4 against 3 people.
And
you
the
have
mother.
brother and sister and the mother. 5. 5 against 3 people. So you have the husband, fucking idiot who did it, and her brother. So it's like, you guys are outnumbered. Like,
Yeah.
we have 5 people on his side who think you're inappropriate. And regardless, as long as there's one person who thinks you're inappropriate, you're fucking inappropriate to them. That's their boundaries, and it's her fucking husband. You guys are all fucking idiots. All 3 of you over here. My fucking hands are getting confused.
Throwing gang signs out here.
You ran out of fingers.
I ran out of fingers. Yeah. So there is an update number 2. So my mother-in-law came with my husband, and we all had a talk. There were a lot of things to say, but I will try to summarize. Basically, Jake apologized to me first and tried to explain his point of view. He said that he was angry because, A, I left without saying anything for the whole night when he was literally trying to defuse the situation and tried to laugh it off because it was so awkward he didn't know what else to do. But instead of communicating, I just left him in that weird situation. He was meeting his friends after such a long time and just wanted the dinner to be peaceful, and Sydney was going back anyways, and he would most likely never meet her again. B, he acknowledged Sydney was indeed overstepping boundaries, but he didn't know how to bring it up since he has literally seen her growing up and she is like a little sister to him. She also acts that way with everyone. He thought it was just for a few days and he wanted no drama during their stay, so he would just brush it off. He did acknowledge he was wrong about not saying anything. C, he was already really worried and sad because how I just left with no explanations. Even after I came, not once I asked how he felt. He was also very overwhelmed with everything and felt I was accusing him for not doing anything when he literally pushed her off as politely as possible when she tried to sit. He felt it was attacking his character and gave him the ultimatum, which made him sad, as if he felt if I thought less of him. It wasn't about Cindy, but about how easy it was for me to question his sincerity. He said after that dinner he was going to go extremely low contact with her anyways. D, He apologized for not speaking up about the disrespect Sydney was showing towards me and also leaving like that. Then, after Jake said everything, mother-in-law explained Jake about the situation from her perspective. She scolded him a lot as well. In short, she told him that as a husband, it is his responsibility to make me feel like I am his priority, and that he disappointed me in the moment I had come to him to ask for establishing boundaries. As a husband, it was his duty that I never would have to come to him about this in the first place. She also asked him how he would have felt had it been a guy on my lap, and he had no answer for it. She told him how what I did was an eruption of suppressed feelings, and as a husband, it is his duty to go after me and never leave me alone in the first place. There were a lot of things said by her, and Jake seemed to realize and sincerely apologize for his actions. She told him if he ever pulled such a stunt ever again, then to not expect her to take him in. Later, she took me for a walk. It was just the two of us, and there she explained some things to me as well. She said that she is sorry for everything, but told that even at her house, Jake was distraught. He didn't tell her because he most likely knew he was wrong too, but was overwhelmed about everything as well. She said she in no way is excusing her son's behavior, but hoped that I would forgive him. She also said that in no circumstances I need to leave my house, as it is my house and my family. She said I shouldn't be afraid in speaking my mind if anything makes me uncomfortable, and to talk to her if Jake does anything stupid again, because she will set him straight. She hoped we worked it out since she has seen our love for each other, and it would be sad to see us split up due to some disrespectful brat. Her words. She said she cannot have a say in our issues, but suggests that we should get counseling to understand each other better. She even brought ice cream for me. I know it's a bit childish, but she said sweet things work like a charm for when people are upset, and she was right. Well, it was awkward at night. Jake came into our room, and we didn't know what to say. After a while, we talked and both apologized to each other. However, I did tell him that I was angry at him to tell everything to Sean and was deeply hurt by the text he sent me. He said he didn't know what I was talking about, and I showed him the text. He said he didn't tell Sean about the fight and only told him that he was at his mom's place. He called Sean, and well, it turns out Sean told Sydney and told her how she went too far at the party. Then Sydney made a huge sob story about how I was passive-aggressive with her the whole time, how I would always try to question her character and act insecure and jealous. She even went out to say that I was always like that with her, even when she was a kid, and that I never liked her and always tried to manipulate people into thinking I was an angel while she was a slut. Well, that made him angry to think how I have been treating Sydney, and he sent those texts. Jake and I were baffled by such accusations, and he tried to explain to Sean how it wasn't true, but then Jake just let it be and decided to go no contact with Sydney and extremely low contact with Sean. Jake apologized again, and we just cuddled and slept. Well, Sydney is out of our lives for good now, and we have decided to go to counseling for better communication in the future. Let's see how everything goes in the future, but yeah, we're not getting divorced. I know a lot of you wanted me to show Jake this post, but he was so sad and got scolded a lot already, so I decided not to show him. Maybe in the future. Sorry for all this rambling. Have a good day, people.
I don't forgive him.
Mama.
I never read that update when I was reading
I
the
love
original.
how hard the mom came
I
in. though.
know. Yeah.
Like, I think she
Yeah.
explained it perfectly for, Jake, and I think perfectly for the poster.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Like, she saw both sides, and it was just kind of like, hey.
Yeah.
And then also saying, like, if he pulls his shit again, I'm not taking him in.
Yeah,
I
you're not
was like,
sleeping
yeah.
at my house.
Woo!
Mother-in-law set him straight. She's right. It is. I feel like regardless of wife and husband, it's both responsibility to not make that other person feel that way. It's
100%.
like your responsibility. It's your duty to be part of the marriage and to make them feel secure
It's a partnership.
at home,
Yeah.
safe place. And like, dude, how did you let your wife leave the house?
And
There's so
notice
many-
after
so
an
many
hour.
questions.
And notice after an hour she hasn't come
An
back.
hour.
Buddy,
An hour.
Teresa would have never even made it down to the car. She, as soon as she left the door, I heard the door close. I would have been like, no, run fucking out, be behind the car in the backup camera, being like, you ain't going nowhere unless you're running me over. So like, and then second, like, also like, if you're the wife, this is your house. It's like, no, you don't leave. You say, get the fuck out of my house.
Yep.
You say, get out. This is my house. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. There's so many things. Like, when he said that he didn't want to cause problems, he just kind of wanted to keep the peace when she sat on his lap. He didn't want to make it weird. That's disrespectful. Be a man and say something. Don't just let it happen. You have to speak up for yourself and let it happen. Don't let it happen. Like, because it could happen again in the future. Like, if it's not Sydney, it can happen again with another girl.
This whole thing could have been avoided, like, right from the beginning if he
listened to her boundaries. Like,
Jake should have set Sydney straight. He should have set his own boundaries right from the beginning.
As soon as she sat on his lap, it should have been like,
before.
This is not okay. Like,
before the lap, the giggling and everything. Because he tried to push her off on the lap.
She should have known that it wasn't going to be okay to even sit on the lap to begin with.
Yeah, exactly.
So
she should have known that that's
unacceptable. Could have all been fixed,
Yeah. This one made me mad.
Yeah, that was a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big one. That was a big one.
There's a lot of emotions in that one. Because it's not only, like, mean girl, like, cliquey stuff.
And then family got involved.
Then family.
Yeah. Yep.
And then, like, spousal
Mother-in-law's
support.
Great. Mother-in-law's great.
Yeah, she's the goat.
Ice cream fixes everything.
Sweet things fix it all.
Sounds like she's been through a couple of it. Yeah,
I thought she was going to, like, lay some big secret. Like, it's okay. Like, this has happened to me before. But instead, she was like, my son's a dink.
This is when I killed that girl and I buried her in the backyard.
What?
And then I had ice cream and it made me feel better.
Yeah.
The fact that she's just like, no, my son's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, exactly.
I birthed this idiot. Like, I feel bad. I'm sorry.
I gotta
Eat something.
I still feel responsible for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man.
All right.